It's me, it's Queen Osset Haru, and thank you for joining me for another wonderful edition of Ask an Aquarius. If you haven't already, please hit the red subscribe button and smack the bell. Alright guys, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and pass it on to somebody else who might need to hear this information. Alright guys, someone said to me they were kind of confused about Aquarius because they know Aquarius to act like me, and they're independent and they're free spirited and they travel around and they're pretty much happy with their lives. But they also know some Aquarius who are dependent, lonely, always talking about how they don't have anybody that's a real one in their life, and they're not as independent. They're usually living with somebody, can't hold a job, and they're wondering, what is the difference between the independent versus dependent Aquarius? Is it their sign? Is it what the con they're in? What is that about? What I've come to find is that you do have some Aquarius who are independent and some who are more dependent. I think the dependent ones are the ones who have not really evolved. They haven't really found themselves, because it's in the Aquarian nature to be free. It's in the Aquarian nature to be independent. So the ones who I come across who are dependent, there's usually an issue going on there. A lot of times it has to do with just being afraid, because most Aquarius do good by ourselves. We do great by ourselves, with a minimum of help, maybe some support here and there, but we do pretty decent by ourselves. So when you come across an Aquarius who can't hold a job, can't take care of themselves, are not independent, are not free, you're coming across somebody who is not acting very Aquarius. So something is wrong. Basically my point is something is wrong, because the average Aquarius who's in a healthy place, the light Aquarius who's in a good place, in a productive place, are going to be more independent. We have, some of us, we have a real issue with this too, because those of us who are more independent or who are in a good place, we're so at peace with ourselves that oftentimes it's hard for us to even invite people in. It's hard for us to get into relationships sometimes, or even invite people into our lives, because we'd be like, damn, I'm chilling so hard. What's going to happen if I invite somebody else in? Some of us fear that. I know I do. I fear my chilling. I fear losing that, So if you find an Aquarius who's on the other end, it's probably because they've never had it. They've probably never learned the joy of independence. They probably never seen the joy of freedom. And they probably have things going on in their chart that make them more of a dependent kind of personality. Maybe some earth, some water, some of those kind of things. If you mix earth and water up with the Aquarius stew, you might get a more dependent, less free-spirited Aquarius. So, like I said before, it all really depends on your entire chart and not just your sun sign. You can't say because somebody is Aquarius, they're going to be free-spirited and independent. It's a good possibility because that's in our sign. But sometimes things in your chart, such as your moon or your rising sign, overshadow that Aquarian nature. So I do know some Aquarius who are not independent. My own father was never independent. He always lived off of someone, most of the time. I think it was a couple times in his life when he had his own place. But for the most part, he was living with my mom, his mom, another woman. He was always living with someone in between jobs, He never could just have a steady flow going on and accumulate wealth or accumulate whatever it was he wanted to obtain. It was just kind of always up and down. It was always unstable energy. So whatever was going on in his chart caused him to be more dependent in that way than I ever have been. I've been independent since I was very young. Even though people have helped me along the way with, teaching me things or helping me with things or giving me things even. People have helped me along the way, but I've always lived alone and pretty much did things on my own. So that's the difference you have in here. Usually, when you see an Aquarius who's dependent, it's an Aquarius who got some issues going on, mental health issues, or something's going on where they're not embracing that freedom and they're not, exerting that independence. So you will find those kinds of Aquarius, but it's always something going on. Every once in a while, one of them will write me and they'll tell me about how they're unhappy or whatever the case is. And when I get down to the nitty gritty, one of the things I often find is that they have not taken time to cultivate any relationships. Aquarius like being alone, and we don't need to be in huge entourages, but you do need a support system. And some Aquarius come to the point where they throw everything away. You can't do that. You have to have some support. You have to have someone, even if it's only 2 or 3 people, you need someone you can talk to. You need someone who can catch you if you fall. Someone. And the Aquarius I know that are the most lonely, that are the most dependent, they're the ones who have not taken time to cultivate any type of support system. I pretty much, like I said, am very independent, but I have a support system. If something goes wrong, there's somebody I can talk to. If something happens, there's somebody to get advice from, somebody that I can trust. And I have a few people. So if one is busy, I can go to the other one. If you don't have that, then it is very difficult. And I do know some Aquarius who have not done that. They have not established any kind of support system. And for any sun sign, that is a doozy. That is something that can be very difficult, because the bottom line is that you can take care of yourself. You can be self-sufficient, but I really do believe you need a support system. You don't need everybody. You ain't got to hold on to everybody. But I do think you need a support system. I think you need just a few people who are there in your corner. Some people to have fun with, some people to celebrate with even. And the Aquarius I know who are the most lonely are the ones who have not cultivated that. Any Aquarius who've cultivated a support system, no matter how independent, no matter how fiercely they guard their freedom, they still have those connections. So I always tell Aquarius, it's cool to be independent, it's cool to be free, but you have to have some type of support. At least 1 or 2 people. For me, it's always at least 3 people that I can go to, that I can get real advice from, that I really can talk to. But I've met Aquarius who have not taken the time to cultivate that, and those are the ones who have a really hard time as far as being lonely and being sad. The other ones of us are kicking up our heels. We free, footloose, and happy, running around, looking at the other Aquarius like, what's wrong with you? It's cool. So it's really hard. I posted a meme the other day in the community section, and the gentleman said that once you find out how peaceful it is to be alone, it then becomes difficult to be around people. And I thought that was a very Aquarius thing to say. Because it's true. Once you get at a state of really being peaceful, really loving yourself, enjoying your own company, going wherever you want to go, once you get to that space, sometimes it does become a struggle to invite people in, because it's so peaceful. You do whatever you want. You chilling, you having a good time. And then it's like, I think about this when I think about my own love life. Every once in a while, I think about dating, which I really don't do anymore. And sometimes I think about it. And the first thing that comes up for me is, damn, if I get with somebody else, I can't do whatever I want whenever I want to do it. I'm going to have to think about them. I'm going to have to be considerate of them. I'm going to have to communicate with them. I'm going to have to do all of these things that I don't have to do now. And I'm just like, So it keeps me from being able to have a steady vibration of drawing love into my life. Because whenever I think about it, I'm not really sure. I go to this place of limbo and this place of being afraid of losing my freedom, afraid of losing my independence, afraid of losing that. And I struggle with it. I definitely struggle with it. So, depending upon what side of the equation you are, as far as being an Aquarius, if you're more independent or if you're more dependent, it's a struggle either way. It's a struggle to maintain the balance. But those of us who are independent are definitely happier alone. And we're okay with being with other people, because I am with other people sometimes. Obviously, I have a family and I have friends, and I'm with other people sometimes, but most of the time I really enjoy my freedom. So if you meet an Aquarius and they really don't enjoy that aspect, you got to start digging and finding out what's going on underneath, because 9 times out of 10 is something in their chart or is something with their emotional and mental health. It's one of the two. And they probably have not cultivated a good support system. Okay? So if this is you, if you find yourself in this predicament, try to get yourself a good support system, and that's going to make all the difference in the world. All right, guys, it's time for me to get going. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Underneath this video will be everything you need to know to get in contact with me. And please come back tomorrow, because I have a lot more to say. See you later.